From Walt Disney World News today, video, guest falls in water at Living with the Land while retrieving their dropped phone. Goodness gracious. An Epcot guest dropped their phone on Living with the Land, then fell in the water while trying to retrieve it. A video posted on June 23rd, 2025 by TikTok user Sunshine Soul Co. Florida shows the guest climbing out of the water in one of the Living with the Land tunnels leading into a greenhouse. The guest runs along the edge through some of the sand in the greenhouse, touching the sand itself as off limits, and then climbing back into the boat. Sunshine Soul Co. Florida said the guests dropped their phone in the water and fell in while trying to retrieve it. The user commented that they were in the boat with Sunshine Soul Co. Florida and asked if the wayward guest was caught because, quote, he booked it off there so quick. The user then said that they saw him go into the restroom after getting off the ride and, quote, were surprised no one was waiting for him once the ride was done. You can see right here, he's retrieving his phone and then, oh, he's got water, comes right into the boat, and seemingly that's the end of it. As Walt Disney World News today always states, getting off a ride while it is in motion and without permission or assistance from cast members is dangerous. And I would go ahead and second that opinion right there. Water rides like Living with the Land can be particularly dangerous because of slippery walkways and underwater ride mechanisms. Living with the Land boats travel on an underwater track that someone could easily get caught on. Interestingly, this isn't even the first time something like this has happened. Culture, I know you know this story from, well, 4 years ago now, June 21st, 2021, guest jumps from boat to steal cucumber on Living with the Land at Epcot. I couldn't even find the original video, by the way, of this before the show. It's out there probably somewhere.
It is.
But why, Culture, are people jumping off boats in order to retrieve items like this? This is, it's just ridiculous.
Early on, when we first started doing these shows on That Park Place and Pro, we talked about the guest entitlement. That guests feel entitled because of the extraordinary amounts of money that they're paying for, the greatest, untethered vacation ever, just because of how unorganized Disney has become. What bothers me the most is operational security would have a cast member at the end of the tunnel that turns to where they turn to the left here to head off into where the living environment is. There usually is a cast member sitting there monitoring a bank of monitors that would show the entire attraction. And that person, the last 4 or 5 times I've been on this attraction, isn't there. So to me, I'm starting to feel like Disney isn't monitoring the parks the way that they used to. And maybe that'll change if some crazy event happens here in the United States, but they've gotten very lax on a lot of things. But why does this happen? It's guest entitlement and it's getting out of control. I mean, if you're paying, $120 to enter this park, which I don't know why you would, there's only a handful of attractions that have any value at all. And then you then pay for Lightning Lane for something like Cosmic Rewind or whatever, or what is the new program called? Just Take My Wallet, Please. Whatever it is Disney's doing now.
Cool Kids Summer.
I'm sorry. What kind of summer?
Cool Kids Summer. By the way, I hate Cool Kids, so whatever.
All right. Well, I'll just tell you. That doesn't work either. Overall, my sense of all of this is that people just feel entitled and there should be no consequences. Hey, I paid for the ticket. Hey, I just had to do this. Hey, I wasn't going to leave my phone. It just, and again, you just let a cast member know I dropped my phone, right before the plants or just after we entered the live plants, and they'd collect it for you. The thing is do you know how much these things weigh and how much force they're under? And
oh my goodness!
You could very easily die very quickly and in a very brutal fashion, even in that little water. Because I mean, the tripping hazards, as you mentioned, the underwater hazards, they're insane. These things are powered by enormous water jets, and the underwater track, as you suggested. Could you imagine getting your foot stuck underneath that?
Oh,
so I can't even begin to think how silly this is, and. They were very lucky, but again, I've seen, and this is something that I've seen in person, is people climbing out of stuck, I guess it used to be Splash Mountain, stuck logs on ramps, because, sometimes people just lose their mind when they're stuck for a long time. And, Splash Mountain would, even under the original operation, get stuck occasionally. So To me, it just comes down to guest entitlement. And again, it's a product of Disney's overreach when it comes to charging guests and the lack of, again, operational security, which I think that, outside of the pretend wave and a flash that you pass through to enter the parks, I don't think they're keeping track of their guests the way they used to. You are tracked, or you should be tracked, or you were really tracked back when Magic Bands came into play. And from the point in 2013 forward, when they started to become a regular occurrence, they really did know where everybody was with the way they used NFC and everything else. So
I'm going to throw this in here. As far as the Universal parks go, they know where you are before they even look you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think, Jonas, that, Disney has gone a little lax, at least with the guest enforcement of policy and safety conditions and so forth, to the point that maybe people feel that, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do this. There aren't going to be any consequences. If Walt Disney World News Today's reporting is true that this guest wasn't trespassed, sends a bad message, I would think.
I think so. And if there's any signs of that person on social media to where they can figure out who they are, I think they're going to go handle that. I think that's it's not crazy for them to handle that stuff off platform. So yes, I do think that person will be trespassed, or they'll just be flagged in the system. I think Disney can find them and take care of them as far as that is concerned. Now, one thing I will say is you should never count on Disney not watching. Never, ever.
No.
Absolutely.
Although for years, there was a group of people that were exploring the Mesa.
Okay, let's. I know what you're talking about. Let's end the security concerns aspect here. I don't want anyone from actual Disney trying to think that we're encouraging or providing the enabling of dishonest behavior or dangerous behavior. So that's me being a producer here. Let's
understood.
Of course, that attraction also doesn't exist anymore. So
true story.
That's true. Disney, we're not endorsing this, and we're telling every single person listening to this, never do this. Like Culture said, these are huge machines, and they don't stop just because you're in the way. Okay,
you don't want to get stuck, and then the machine keep going, and then you end up underneath a boat.
Death and injury is bad.
Absolutely, 100%. I am reminded of other incidents like this in the past. For example, you remember the whole Small World incident that actually took place at Disneyland? That was no good. We've seen people, recently actually in Jonas by Adventure, people actually exit and try to get off. I think we saw something like that at the Mexican Pavilion attraction over there as well, and so forth. This just keeps happening over and over and over again. And I do wonder what that is. I think Culture might be right. Might be something to do with guest entitlement. Obviously, charging exorbitant prices. I was just talking to someone today actually about this, the additional stress that causes, right? And the irrationality of actions does wane just a little bit as people are desperate to maximize their vacation. Culture, any remaining thoughts before?
Sure. This is an interesting side note. Disney actually calls what ticket qualities and what items you have on your pass or whatever you bought from them entitlements, just for fun. That's what they're called.
That's true.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like if you're going to go to the water park, you have an entitlement to the water parks if it's part of your ticket package or whatever, parking, all those kinds of things. If you have those entitlements, that's what Disney calls them.
And that doesn't entitle the person to do this kind of stuff, but it is interesting, folks. Just stay inside the vehicle with all hands, arms, feet, and legs inside until the boat or other vehicle comes to a complete stop, please. And thank you.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.